welcome back to the kitchen. This week, as you can see, we're in the library's kitchen, and we're going to be doing a series on different kinds of smoothies. So I'm going to be using this cookbook, and we're going to be making a few different ones from this over the next few videos. So in this video, we are making the banana pineapple breakfast shake, and as you can see there, those are our ingredients right there, or those are the main ingredients. In addition to that, they also call for some spice. We're going to be using some allspice instead of the nutmeg like they call for, because we don't have any nutmeg. And they also do call for 8 packets of sugar substitute, and I'm just going to be using some honey instead of that. Okay, and also we're going to be using our little blender thing here, which has the individual cups that go in it. So let's get started. Alright, so for this one, what you do is you put your ingredients in this, and then you screw this together, and then you put it in, and when you push it down, it blends. So because we're going to be making this recipe, which is supposed to make 4 servings, I think the easiest way is just going to be to measure our ingredients into another bowl and then scoop it into these from that. So I'm going to be measuring our ingredients into this bowl. Okay, first 2 cups of plain yogurt. 1 can of crushed pineapple with the juice, so you don't have to drain it. And I buy this kind that says pineapple in pineapple juice. I would avoid the one that says in syrup, because that means it's got added sugar in it, and it's just not as healthy that way. Just be very careful, because this can be very sharp unless you have one of those special can openers that does not leave a sharp edge, but this one leaves a sharp edge, so just be careful. And it's calling for 1 can, 1 8-ounce can. So I bought you can see here, this is a 20-ounce can. So I happen to know that 1 8-ounce can is about the same as 1 cup. So that's how we're going to measure it. Oh, you just need to drain this here. Okay. Okay. Next, we're going to have 1 medium ripe banana. They don't specifically say to break it up, but yeah, no, they don't specifically say to break it up, but we're going to break it up because obviously that's going to make it easier to blend it. And 8 packets of sugar substitute. So here's our honey, which we're going to be using. Hopefully it's not completely hard as a rock. Let's see. It's pretty crystallized. So I'm going to see if I can scoop it out with a spoon. Small enough to fit. Oh, here. How about a knife instead? So if you don't already know this, if the honey gets crystallized, it's not bad at all. It's still just as good. It's just something natural that happens over time if it sits around long enough, or if it's at a certain temperature for long enough, it'll do that. It'll just crystallize. Honey actually cannot go bad. I don't know if you know that, because honey is naturally antibacterial, antiviral, and antifungal. I think it's all 3. So that's why honey is really good to have in your tea, like if you're trying to fight off a cold or something. And that's also why it never goes bad. Alright. Now I'm going to put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and just Sorry I keep saying this over and over, but in case there's new people that are really new to cooking, 1 teaspoon, you can tell because it says TSP. If it were to say TBSP, that's a tablespoon, which is completely different. So you just want to make sure you have the right spoon there. Okay, and then an 1/8 teaspoon of ground nutmeg. Like I said before, I'm going to be using some allspice instead. And I'm not really going to bother to measure this. As you can see, if this is 1 teaspoon, an 1/8 of a teaspoon would be a really tiny amount. So I'm just going to sprinkle in a little bit and call it good. That's probably plenty. Alright, and finally, 1 cup of iced cubes. So I'm going to be trying to use the crushed bits of ice at the bottom here rather than the actual cubes, because I just think it would be way too hard for this blender to handle a whole huge ice cube. So we're trying to do this without, let's just, okay, lift out the whole thing. Mix this all together. Tasty. Okay, it's going to taste really good though once it's all ground up. I hope it's going to be perfect. Okay, just be very careful not to make a mess. Let's put it in all 4 cups at once to try to make them even. And let's put the last little bit in this one. Let's get to it. But first, because of the way this blender works, I think it's going to be a much less messy experience if I wipe off the rims of the little glasses first, so that we don't get gunk down in there when we attach the blade. To make sure it's evenly mixed in there so you don't miss any bits while we're grinding it up. If you have the type of blender that is just a regular top loading blender, you want to make sure it's turned off, and then you can just take like a long spoon or something and stir it around in there and then restart it. Actually, you should probably even unplug it first before you do that with the top loading kind, just as an extra precaution. But for this kind, we can just do like this. Alright, that should be good. I'm going to pop this in the freezer so it does not start to melt in the meantime. Okay, first I'm going to take off the blades because we kind of need those. And then I'm going to put this in the freezer. So this smoothie recipe is a little bit more liquidy than how I usually like my smoothies to be. So I'm going to leave them in the freezer while I clean up, and then I'm going to serve them. I think if I made this again, I might substitute some of the yogurt for maybe pineapple flavored frozen yogurt or pineapple sorbet or something like that. So that way we would have an extra frozen ingredient besides just the ice to help keep it more icy and frozen rather than liquidy. But that's just my preference. Maybe you like yours more liquidy. I like to eat my smoothies with a spoon, but some people like to eat it with a straw, so this kind would probably work really well with eating it with a straw. Alright, let's clean up a little bit. Okay, I'm about to take these down for the people at the library who want some, and I'm going to taste mine now and tell you how it is. That's really good. You can really taste the banana and the spice and the vanilla. You can really taste all that. So if you're not a big banana fan, you might not like it, but otherwise I think probably most people would like this. Maybe I would make sure the honey is a little more evenly distributed, because I know some of them got clumps of honey and others didn't. I would probably try to use actual nutmeg next time, like they call for, just to see what it's like with the nutmeg. I think what I would do is, like what I said before, replace 1 cup of the yogurt with 1 cup of pineapple ice cream or pineapple sorbet or pineapple frozen yogurt, whatever, just to give it a bit more freeziness and less liquidiness. Other than that, I think it turned out really good. So thanks for joining me in the kitchen today, and I'm gonna go down and serve these to the rest of the people at the library. Have a great week. Bye!